yes, it's a group effort, but let's be perfectly honest. Conte has been the man that's driven this change. This change this season would not have happened without Conte. It wouldn't have. And I just felt it needed that little bit more in the statement to reflect that. Maybe, Daniel Levy is a businessman. Maybe it is part of some kind of negotiating tactic. I don't know. Whereas I don't want to show that I need him that much. But it's like, you do. And look, is a statement from Daniel Levy on a website really going to decide Antonio Conte's future? Of course it's not. But it's nice for the guy that's really played the major part in getting things turned around to be acknowledged, I think. There was a reference to the summer transfer window. Don't get yourself too excited because it was, like I say, very dry. But it does say there will be money made available. So here's the quote, rather than me paraphrase. Get ready, because it starts dry, and that's the way it goes. When we reported our June 2021 year-end financial results, we set out our vision for the club and underlined that whilst we had invested significantly in the squad, we needed to improve our recruitment, and the January transfer window showed how important this can be. We shall continue to support investment in both our first and women's teams and our academy. Yeah, it says they're going to invest, so that's something. It needs to be significant. It does. Yeah. Look, I kind of get maybe why he was playing it safe, because if you remember last year's one, he went out there and he told everyone that, we're going to bring in a new head coach who's going to provide free-flowing, attacking and entertaining football. They hired Nuno Espirito Santo. So I kind of get it. I can kind of get why maybe he's not making big promises this year, because they've got to deliver those promises, and they certainly didn't. The Nuno era feels like a lifetime ago. It really does. We were thinking that after the match. We were watching a compilation video, and to be fair, Nuno came up on it. And we're like, whoa. It's almost like, that was this season, wasn't it? It's incredible. It just feels like it feels like a different season, because so much has happened since. There was one word that I just felt was missing from the whole statement, and it's probably the one word that Conte craves the most: ambition. They didn't talk about ambition. They didn't talk about our ambitions. And I looked back, and ambition was in last year's one and things like that. And maybe it's because that is what Conte keeps using. He keeps talking about that word and how the ambition has to kind of align with each other. And I just felt, I don't know. Maybe Daniel Levy has said in the past in supporters' trust meetings that he doesn't care about the criticism. It's not important to him. What's most important is that the club is there for future generations, things like that. But I'd love it if whoever helps him with his statements when they're being written, just try to inspire that little bit, just to make... Look, I know the inspiration is happening on the pitch, and I'm splitting hairs. It's not the biggest thing in the world. But I just would love it if he just hired someone that was a bit more of a PR person that just understood the right way to say things. I don't always feel that the advice he gets is the best as well. I don't know whether it comes from that. I don't know. But it was like reading a end of financial year statement rather than an address to the fans. Have a look at it. It's on the Spurs website. It's all there. To be fair, he said towards the end, I firmly believe we are well positioned to go forward into next season. The desire and determination to see success on the pitch is felt by everyone at the club. It does kind of feel like that, that kind of email your boss sends round at the end of the year to kind of tell everyone a great job they're doing, kind of thing. It did feel like that rather than something to galvanise a fan base. But like I say, fan base already galvanised probably by everything that Conte's done. But just the key now is keeping him happy, because he's a winner. He's emotional, but he's a nightmare to manage for Levy and co. I can imagine he is, but they need someone to drive that club on. It's a club that's failed to win silverware in more than 20, in the 20-year reign as well. They've fallen short on becoming the big club that they need to be, and that is where Conte comes in. And hopefully that's what we see happen. And it is about the little details, because I did find it really fascinating. In his pre-match press conference, he was speaking about the fact that the Burnley match was 12 p.m. Why is it 12 p.m. on a Sunday when you've played on Thursday night? It makes no sense. And what he said was really interesting. It's like, a top club has to pay attention to the fixtures. Before the game, you don't think the situation can cause you this type of problems, but afterwards you realise it could affect the result and you are angry. But it's too late then. You need to be angry before. The club has to pay more attention. If you want to win, you have to take care about all the details, because the details move the final result. And that is exactly what a winner knows. That is what someone that's had experience in the biggest clubs in the world, like Juventus, and let's be honest, Chelsea, they are a team that is built to win things. And Inter Milan, what he did with them as well. He knows these little things, that when it's the right time to complain, when it's the right time to kick up a fuss and draw your line in the sand kind of thing. And Tottenham maybe just a bit meek and accept these things. And I like that. I like that, because I've said this before. This is not new news to anyone. But, I keep hearing this, that he's very frank when he talks to Daniel Levy. And he's more frank than maybe any other manager has been with Daniel Levy. He will say things that other people, in the conversation might be going, "Ooh, really? He said that?" But they're things that, for a club that has failed to just go to the next level in all these years, look, progress has been made. It has. I know there's people that will just want to say it's complete doom and gloom. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. The team that were there were very much a mid-table team. And since then, they've qualified for Europe. What is it? Is it maybe 14 out of 15 years? Something like that. It's a lot. They're definitely a bigger club, but it's definitely been a tale of missed opportunities to then go even higher. And I understand the stadium was being built in the meantime and everything as well. But, it does. I think if it needs someone like Conte to come in and say some things that are, home truths and frank words, it happens. I'm sure no one's going to have hard feelings over it. I don't get the impression that Daniel Levy is someone that has hard feelings over stuff. He will speak frankly with people about performance and things like that, and he will expect the same to be said, you'd think, of what's happening at the club as well. It's going to be, I'd imagine it'll be a slightly uncomfortable meeting in terms of that sort of stuff. But you know what? I think if top four's there, especially, I think it becomes such an easier decision for everyone just to crack on with what they're doing. I think Harry Kane, I don't think there becomes any questions about Harry Kane's future. Like I think I said before, I wouldn't be stunned if there ends up being a new contract for Harry Kane if Spurs get top four, just to reward him. You might think maybe Harry Kane's best thought would be to just see out his contract, but I don't know. I don't get the impression he's that kind of guy. And hopefully, I feel he loves Conte, and I think he'll see where Conte is hopefully going to take them. And with Conte himself, with his record in the Champions League being so bad, maybe this is a chance for him next season, to try and put that right, to put a bit of focus into that as well. Spurs are going to need a much bigger squad. When you look at the amount of academy players they've had to shove on the bench, 4 in most games in the recent weeks, just because they've had 4 or 5 injuries. They need a much bigger squad, especially if they're going to be competing in the Champions League as well. You cannot rotate your squad hugely in the Champions League. It's not the Conference League, it's not the Europa League. You can't put another 11 out. You're pretty much going to have to be playing a strong team. So that means that if you are making 3 or 4 changes for the Premier League or for the Champions League, they have to be a similar standard player. And that's where the step up comes. They're already going to have to make it a bigger squad because of the substitution rule next season, where you're going to be able to bring on 5 subs in a game. That naturally means you need a bigger squad. I think that's maybe what I'm most excited about, is that Tottenham are being forced to do the things they need to do this summer. There is no option other than to do it. To do, To dare is to do, and all of that. They really do. They have to, because if they don't, they're going to be stuffed. Because even the teams coming up from the Championship are going to have big squads because of that substitution rule. So for Tottenham, who, fingers crossed, are going to be in the Champions League, they're going to need a big, high-quality squad. Money is going to have to be spent. The wage bill is going to have to become bigger. And these are all the things that will keep Conte happy.